Trade war time, guys.
Yes.
Do you want to know something ridiculous?
What?
Before I even get into this, people seem to forget, okay, that the exact same political party, the exact same government that was in charge during the Tiananmen Square massacre is still in charge today.
Yeah, they didn't change.
It's the exact same party, the exact same people that were in charge during that time are still there. And before that, the exact same political party, the exact same structure, everything that killed tens of millions of Chinese people.
Of their own.
Yes. It's the same government.
Yes.
Can you imagine a government that failed their own people so badly and yet still remained in power?
No.
Yeah, it's bad, right?
Actually, I think it's the only kind of lasting example of that in a way.
Yeah.
That murdered, 70 million people?
And, the thing is, the Chinese government has for a long time kind of tried to distance itself from the image of Mao Zedong killing everybody, of the Tiananmen Square massacre. They pretended it never existed, right?
Right.
That type of thing. They've been on the international stage, they've kind of, distanced themselves. Within China, though, you see portraits of Mao everywhere. There's a lot of they openly praise Mao Zedong. Okay, but now the veil has slipped. So
this is something that's when I was learning history, we learned about how Mao was one of the worst mass murderers in the history of mankind.
Yes.
This, like you said, this is something that China keeps internally versus externally, right? So internally, they say Mao was good. He made new China. He made communist China. Externally, they go, don't worry about that guy.
Yeah, there were mistakes in the past, but now it's all good.
We're different now. I cannot believe this is official.
Yes, this is Mao Ning. She is the official China spokesperson, for the foreign ministry. Okay, never mind the fact that she's probably related to Mao. We could be making this up, but first of all, she's got the same surname as Mao Zedong. She's from the same hometown.
Yes, literally town, not city, town.
Not only the same area, but the same hometown.
Yes. And
she got a high-level government position, which would all check all the boxes of, yes, she's a relative of Mao Zedong.
I think if you took their pictures and you did like a...
And now she's like, grandfather Mao, I can show him again.
They claim she's not related.
No,
anyway,
obviously, that's just speculation on our behalf. But the fact of the matter is they've pulled out this old archival crap about Mao Zedong saying, we'll never yield to the Americans, right?
Yeah, I don't want to tell you guys how to feel, but I have to tell you how important this is in rhetoric shift for the CCP. We read China. We read Chinese propaganda.
Yes.
We tell you, we interpret it for you. This is very bad.
Yes,
very bad.
It is very bad. Also, specifically since it was only a very short time after this speech that Mao ended up basically killing tens of millions of Chinese people. And I mean, I don't want to sound like a crackpot here, but what? History repeats itself.
Yes.
And if they're going down this road again,
yes.
You know what happened last time? Is he made this speech, we'll never yield, we'll never back down, and tens of millions, some people say up to 80 million Chinese people died because of his disastrous policies, because he wouldn't back down.
No. If you follow military strategy or try to read what countries are trying to do, if you're in that sphere of things like defense or something, you would look at this. Look at what just happened here. This is a signal to the rest of the world that China is about to do something bad.
This is a signal to the rest of the world that China is now willing to sacrifice its own people
in something bad.
Just to protect its pride.
Yes. Yes.
And they will.
They will. And they have. Over and over again.
Yeah. Why are you clapping for that douche?
Little did they know what was about to happen.
We will fight until we completely triumph. Okay, so we've all seen this my dictator's, blood graph. But just to remind people that, Mao Zedong is responsible for more deaths than Hitler and Stalin combined.
Yes.
Okay, so when you think about bad people, a lot of people always say, oh, Hitler was a bad man. You think about Stalin, he was a bad man. But not that many realize that Mao Zedong is worse than all of them combined. And Pol Pot.
In terms of numbers.
Yes, in terms of the amount of Chinese people that he killed. And he killed more Chinese people than the Japanese invaders ever did.
By leaps and bounds.
Yeah, exactly. He's a bad guy. You shouldn't be putting him out there as your state image.
He has the OG high score.
Yes.
I mean, this is like when you go to the arcade and then his
Mao
is
is at the top.
You know, you write ass or
Peasant
whatever
Slaughter,
is your name.
is the game.
Yes,
and
he's
it's like Mao is like at
your
the top.
ass. You're like ass, like 10 billion.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
like, he's up there. Yeah.
That's right. Anyway, he's a horrible man. So anyway, rather than just do it once, they double down. Okay, so Mao Ning put this out again. China
not
never
good.
bluffs, and we see through those who do.
I don't want to fearmonger. I'm telling you, though, when you read the tea leaves here, this is very bad because China was playing this whole everyone needs to work together, we need to trade together. China is so peaceful, we don't get involved in international conflicts, which you're going to see is not true later.
Yes.
They are putting out imagery and quotes and videos of something that represents China at its worst and most belligerent. It's not good.
Yeah.
Not good.
So, here it's Mao Zedong calling America a paper tiger. It's interesting because at the end of the day, if you look at it, the kind of rhetoric that Mao Zedong was putting out, he was just describing himself, describing his own country.
Can I reply to his quote there?
Sure.
No, you.
Can I do a no you?
You can. We should have a no you with that Mao, that dude that made the
the slap,
shooting
shot the
Mao
Mao.
thing.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Anyway.
So I have to point out now, this very stupid thing has started to happen, which happened last time during the tariffs.
Yeah. Or
Is
trade
you've
war,
got during the trade war, sorry, and you've seen this. Well, it depends on what country they're angry with at the time.
Can be Canada, can be France.
Can be Japan, can be whatever.
Today's definitely America.
So
I think we're winning.
You've got businesses now in China putting up signs, like this jewelry business is putting up a sign saying that all American customers will be charged an additional 104%. And if you've got problems with that, you can go to the embassy, basically.
I got a rant about this, but maybe we'll look at it first.
First of all, I want to say this.
Okay, well, you want to start with
I just want to say, like, the chances of him ever getting an American customer are like minus 10,000.
Minus 10,000. It's a good stat.
There's no Americans going to walk into this little shop in this little area of this place to go and try buy something.
Winston, tell me that is not the most pure analogy for this very trade war.
Yes.
To pretend like the Americans are going to come out on the bottom of this.
To pretend that Americans are going to want to this.
That's what I'm saying.
This little shop in the middle of nowhere to buy this.
It's pretending your value is so elevated in this global economy and this America-China trade, even though the statistics consistently point at China needs America so much more than vice versa. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
How does this logic work on a small and large scale?
Yeah.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. And I just wanted to show you that, of course, when something like this gets done in China, people start to just go with the trends. So, lots of stores are putting up on their digital signs and on their signs things like this. Starting from today, our store will charge a 104% service fee to American customers. If you have any questions, please consult the U.S. Embassy.
The previous sign, I just want to say, somebody in the chat said, what are the chances an American's going to be able to read it?
That's also true.
He just wrote it in moon runes.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude.
They're like,
you think Americans can read Chinese? Yeah, we do.
And I promise you this: if an American did walk in there and said they wanted to buy something, and then they're like, "Oh, I'm going to like this," they'd be like, "Well, okay." They'd walk out. And they'd be like, "No, come back. I was just joking."
Yes.
Because they want the sale.
Yes.
Here you can see it at a restaurant outside the frontier. Again, the same copy paste thing. This was before. This is before the thing went up to more.
Yeah, 125.
125. This you can see the date there's yesterday, by the way, at the bottom. See, this is a handwritten version of it at probably like a coffee shop or a hair salon or whatever that no American would ever go to anyway.
Yeah, they're going to read that and be like, you know what, they're going to walk outside and go, shucks.
Yes. But now I wanted to show you something because we called this from the beginning.
We did.
Remember when Mao Ning, who is the foreign ministry spokesperson, opened her Twitter account? It was only in February 9th, okay, not that long ago.
2 months ago.
Yeah, all right. Excited to join X, looking forward to sharing updates on China's foreign policy and relations and much beyond. Let's work together to foster understanding and friendship.
You have this outward kind of like photo of her getting involved with a bunch of people from foreign countries being like, look, let's take a selfie.
Yes. So it
niceness.
always works this way. They worm their way into the foreign platform.
Chinese government.
Yes, the Chinese government. Here you go. This is a Chinese government official. This is the official spokesperson. It's the foreign ministry of China gets an X account, a Twitter account, and then all of a sudden they're putting stuff out about like, we will never yield.
Like,
we are Chinese. We're not afraid.
We're gonna fight
We
you.
won't back down.
And then
now
it's Mao's like
threatened.
wartime rhetoric against the U.S.
Yeah, and then it's like, yeah, exactly. It's
Went from 0 to 60 real effing fast.
and it's like, look who, you are the ones who will lose. To find out who truly pays for terrorists, simply ask the ones footing the bill, and they like interview American people about how bad it is. So it goes from let's foster understanding to like, now we're going to blame you. We're going to use your own system to blame you, to attack you, to insult you.
This is what happens when you let the Chinese government on platforms they block for their own people.
Yes.
They use it only to hurt America.
Yes.
We've said this for how many years now? Look at where we are with the TikTok situation.
Yep.
Now we're in some sort of like weird thing where you have to bargain and, you know, maybe make a deal and all this kind of stuff. China shouldn't have been involved from day one.
Sure.
If this is what's happening on X after 2 months, think about what happened to the TikTok audience.
Yeah,
Look
I mean,
what happened
it's,
with Red Note.
yeah, exactly.
Right?
It's so simple,
It's-
guys. You
it's
can
war.
you can see it. It's literally like, let's be friends and let's like, we want to use the platform for understanding. You suck. You're the worst. China's better than you. All that kind of stuff.
It is weaponized information warfare.
Try to do that on a Chinese platform.
Good luck.
Chinese people can't even do that.
No.
A Chinese person who likes America,
to jail.
you cannot go onto a Chinese platform like Weibo and say that America is better than China.
No.
Never mind an American. American can't. Imagine the American government going on and creating an official Weibo and saying like, we will stand resolutely and beat you down because
Yes.
we're better than you. Do you think that could happen?
No, because in this world, only America's bad. Remember ABP?
Oh yeah, of course.
Only America's bad.
Yes, and what about aboutism we trust. Anyway, another thing that's been making the rounds now is a 1960s children's song, which goes, America is a robber. Okay, let's take a look. Smile on your face. I just wanted to show you the translation of what it says because it's hot right now. U.S. tariff policy. Will the 60s children's song become popular? This battle we have been preparing for a long time.
No, you haven't.
Yeah, it says like, smile on your face. A big knife in the back. Stab you in the back. Want everything. What? If you don't get him, grab it. Get him, grab it. Occupying land and houses. His ambition is greater than the sky. Want to grab the earth and move it home. Kind of reminds me of how China is actually digging up all this earth in Africa and stuff and shipping it back to refine it in China to get the aluminium.
You know what, China? I'm so happy. Actually, I'm incredibly devastated that you're just saying the quiet part out loud now. All these horrible, horrible ambitions of war and pain and suffering to bring to your own people, to sacrifice them for nothing, is coming back and you're proud of it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. By the way, I can't stand it when they use children in wartime propaganda.
But China loves that.
Yeah, it's their thing.
Yeah.
It's their terse.
This is projection.
Yes. I like America, but better watch out, guys, because China announces it will reduce Hollywood movie imports. Oh, no.
Good.
Yes. I want to say good.
There was a time period, and I talked to some Hollywood people, some execs.
Yeah,
about
we
this,
actually were interviewed by someone.
and spoke to people in the industry. Can you make us big for this? I just don't want to be him looming over me.
Yeah, we can loom over him.
We can loom over him. So
Have a drink of shut the hell up.
in these conversations,
glug, 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 glug,
in the beginning, Hollywood goes, and it's good soft power. Hollywood goes, we're going to use, we can use a new open market of China to get American ideals in there: equality, freedom, open road, right? All the things that people like about the U.S. And we can use those films not as propaganda, but as a way to bring those two countries closer together because we can understand each other. And unfortunately, to a certain extent worked. It made people interested in America and China. But what China did was the China thing. They said, no, not all of the films. We'll cherry pick some that we approve. And what that ended up doing was force the market to change to China's tastes. So then now you couldn't make a movie for America that had the wrong map of China
Yes.
in it. You had to get rid of certain things that China found insensitive. You had to actually play into the hands of the CCP to make a Hollywood film.
It was
Those days are over.
infuriating. I mean,
Go away.
You would see like a Transformers movie that's got like China-only milk products being
Yes.
advertised in it, like Mengniu and
Yes.
stuff.
But worse off is the censorship.
Yeah, I mean, of course, everything got censored. You couldn't say things, that would upset the Chinese government, not the people, because it's not the people that ever get upset. It's the Chinese government. Then you're like, you hurt the feelings of the Chinese people because you had this actor in it.
Hollywood had to go to the censorship board of the Chinese government.
Yes.
If those days are over, then I celebrate it because it's not worth it.
Because you know what? Hollywood films deteriorated in quality so much when they started to have to self-censor. And they did self-censor because they want their film to end up in China.
Yeah.
So they they will hire an actress from China or something that sucks. That's a bad actress. Not about like, there's nothing wrong with Chinese actresses,
No,
but they
there's
will
lots
just
of great
yeah,
actresses.
you hire a sucky actor just because you want to
Have
appeal
fill
to the
that
Chinese
role,
market.
and hope they pick your film to be sold in China.
Yeah, exactly. They really messed up the industry, so I'm glad about this. We don't need to sell movies to China,
No.
No.
We do
So,
not.
good.
Good.
Thank you, Xi Jinping. Now, this is very telling and very worrying for the people of China because, look, as much as we make fun of the CCP, as much as we dislike the CCP, we've got nothing against the people of China. And it's actually one of the main reasons why we criticize the CCP so much is because we actually do care about Chinese people. We have a lot invested, having lived there for over a decade each, having Chinese family, Chinese wives, Chinese friends and colleagues in China. We actually do care about Chinese people. And what's happening now is going to affect the Chinese people drastically. And I just have to say off the bat here, the average American person, even a very low-income American person, will be able to struggle but still survive when the prices of groceries go up, when the prices of rent go up. People will be able to make a plan. Okay, it's going to be horrible for people. But in China, they don't have that luxury. People are struggling already. When the prices go up in China and when the orders go away from all the factory workers, people are going to lose their jobs. And it's going to be very difficult for the average Chinese person. Very, very difficult. Far more difficult than it will be for the average American person.
Is no comparison.
Yeah, it's just you can't even come close. That's why it's so worrying when they're putting out Mao Zedong, because they basically are saying, we're willing to sacrifice.
We've done it before, we'll do it again.
We're willing to sacrifice the average Chinese person, their livelihood, their happiness, and their lives, just to keep face, rather than back down. And this is a good example of that. This is a state-owned enterprise putting out an advert that says 吃大苦, which means eat bitter.
Yeah, 干细活赚小钱.
Exactly. Do meticulous work and earn less money. What kind of an advert is that? Suffer, do a good job, and earn less money.
Yes.
And be proud of it.
Yeah, this is like framed as a positive thing.
It's
Kind of like everyone, let's suffer together. We got this.
Exactly. But I mean, come on, does that make you want to work for that company? It's literally saying suffer, work real well, and earn less money. Mm-hmm. It's not something that you want.
This is worrying.
It's very worrying. So these adverts were all over, as you can see here, also in digital form. And for those of you who don't know, the way it works is in your apartment complex, when you go down to the elevators, it was quite embarrassing because I was once on these digital adverts.
Yeah, you told me.
Yeah, so you go into a apartment complex and you're waiting for your elevator, they play adverts, right? It's kind of dystopian in a way.
It is very. They've been doing it way before anyone else.
Yeah. I mean, they also play it inside some of the elevators in the more fancier places. And of course, bus stations and train stations and wherever else, right? Here you can see it says L1 level 1, okay? And I like the fact that you've got a reflection. It says Huawei and Luk Fook Jewelry. So this is definitely inside a mall. This is inside a shopping mall. Anyway, so they were putting them all over the place, and it's the same ad. And they started to get a lot of backlash because people were worried when they started to see this ad.
Yeah, I mean, this is, again, saying the quiet part out loud.
This is a state-run company. Yeah. This is like the government-run company putting this up. So apparently, from what we can see here, this internal message is leaked out. And what it says is all units should immediately check
So basically
whether
they basically
are-
want them to remove.
Yeah, they were
these.
like basically saying, you can take a look.
Yeah.
It's very small. Our screen, we got to move it closer.
Yeah,
So
we do.
it's like way up there. It's up on the wall. Like if you can imagine a gym hall ceiling,
Yes.
like
It's
far
like that,
away.
yeah.
It's our office isn't that big, but it feels like that because we've got a tiny TV up there. Anyway, so basically they were saying quickly take it down because this is causing too much uproar, and then they like removed the ads completely.
Yes. Yeah,
But it's very worrying that kind of thing is going out right now.
it is. It really
You know, and
is.
that's here's something else.
Can you put it at full volume? So
Yeah,
this is Victor Gao. This is a very important person within the CCP, and they basically send him around when they need people to stop arguing about how China is being really bad. So
This guy's despicable.
oh yeah, I mean, well, at least what they tell him to do is.
Well, remember what he said about the Uyghurs? Like,
Yeah, so
you know?
he did this forum debate type thing, and he sat there and basically said, people in Xinjiang, Uyghurs are not allowed to see their families.
Yeah, it's like we will deal with you.
And they had Uyghurs in the audience, and they were like, then stop being a Uyghur, basically. Stop breaking the law, you know?
Yeah.
Listen to this. Call your friends to stick to the one China policy.
He just wants to talk on the phone to a family member.
And this guy is just, for all intents and purposes, you have to understand he's like an attack dog.
Yes,
for the
he is like an
CCP.
attack dog.
And they, this woman, it was this on British media, right?
Yeah, Channel 4.
Asked him a very poignant question. What you'll hear in this is that she uses an actual fact and asks him about it, and he can't reply with any facts.
Yeah, let's see what he says.
In this scenario, to use your metaphor, the US has the bigger gun. And so China ends up having more to lose from this trade war, doesn't it? You know, it can't sustain the loss of 15% of its export market, i.e. what you export to the US.
Not at all. China is fully prepared to fight to the very end because the world is big enough that the United States is not the totality of the market in the world. So if the United States wants to go in that direction of completely shutting itself out of the China market, be my guest.
Yeah, and China will lose the US market, which, as I've said, is 15%.
We don't
You
care.
can't.
We don't care. China has been here for 5,000 years. Most of the time, there was no United States, and we survived. And if the United States wants to bully China, we will deal with the situation without the United States. And we expect to survive for another 5,000 years.
Okay, can you go back to just do a freeze frame there?
Yeah.
Everything he said was just emotionally charged bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't reply with an actual fact or solution. She said, this is in layman's terms, you need America. Perhaps America doesn't need you as much, right?
Yes.
His reply is, we don't care. That is literally like a 13-year-old boy that slams his door and says, Mom, stay out, I'm gaming. Only gamers
exactly.
allowed.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's that energy.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't get to win an argument by not saying anything and just being an annoying little immature brat.
Yeah, we don't care.
You care.
You do
care.
By the way, let me just quash this 5,000 year
Yes.
thing. It's bullshit. I'm sorry. But first of all, it's very debatable about the whole 5,000 years of history thing. I'm not going to get into that. The fact of the matter is that China's only, 75 years old? 70?
1949.
Yeah. Well, what? You better at math than me.
74 years old.
Yeah,
75
74.
years old, yeah.
So China is younger than Trump.
76 years old this year. China's younger than Trump.
Like China, as
No,
we
it
know.
actually is.
China, with this Communist Party China, what this guy represents is younger than Trump.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's be honest, it's kind of crazy. The whole idea of China as we know it today, a China that manufactures, a China with fancy, flashy buildings and high-speed rails, a China that we know today is a very young country. It hasn't been around for 5,000 years. In fact,
Let's be fair, though. It's not a rich country.
No.
The fancy buildings is like city centers.
come on, the GDP of Shanghai is way less than the GDP of Mississippi.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's the nicest city in China.
Yeah, when you see all those flashy buildings
So
and
the
stuff,
worst place in America has a higher per person GDP, per capita GDP than Shanghai, the
which
best
is the
city in
best,
China.
most expensive
Like,
city.
you can tell
Yeah, you
from
have
something.
to actually sometimes put these things into perspective. But what I'm saying is, before 1949, China was not really in a very good state. It got real bad during the
Got much
communist rule,
worse.
much worse. And then it's recently raised up. The only reason why it is in its position right now is because of trade with the rest of the world.
Particularly
It's
America.
particularly America. Because China allowed investment Okay, so people went to China to invest. People helped, the international community helped lift China out of poverty by using labor, by setting up factories, by directly investing. China would be still a struggling, starving, North Korea-esque place today if it wasn't for the United States. This whole thing about 5,000 years of history is crap anyway. Every single place in the entire world where there are humans can claim 5,000 years of history.
Yes.
You'll find some bones there.
Also, it's wrong even by his example. I'll
Sure.
tell you why. China's collapsed how many times? 5,000 years ago, it wasn't called China.
No.
It was some warring states in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
You've claimed, captured land when you weren't even called China, when you were under many different dynasties. They
Genghis
weren't China. Genghis Khan, the Yuan dynasty, conquered all of China under Mongolia. You are not China.
Yeah.
China is a new concept
Yep.
and has failed over and over again and collapsed and imploded.
Yeah.
And it's going to do it again if it continues on
Yes,
this
if this is the wrong attitude to have.
It's wrong.
And China has been taking advantage of the rest of the world for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
You know that saying, give it a bully an inch, they'll take a mile?
Yes.
That is China.
Yes.
Once they were added to the World Trade Organization,
Yep.
they have abused every single loophole. They've been very bad when it comes to stealing IP.
Trillions of dollars in IP.
They haven't allowed litigation in their own courts. If you find that your product has been knocked off in China, you can't go and sue them for copyright. They won't allow you. You're not allowed to. I mean, remember, Michael Jordan's whole
Yes.
logo and name and everything
Yes.
was stolen and he lost.
If you make a product right now in America, can you get rid of him? I can't look at him anymore.
Sure.
If you get
Got the bollard here. Here's a little
bollard.
bollard report.
If you and I start a business, okay,
Yeah.
we go and start a business. It's called ABC Corporation, whatever. And we make the cool frisbee that goes really far.
Sure.
Right. Within a month, that will be taken by a Chinese company, even if we don't manufacture in China. They'll figure out how to copy this design, make their own version, and sell it at 90% less cost.
Yeah.
We will get pushed out of the market by Chinese copycat companies, not even in our country, that are able to then take that cheap product and then for free ship it across the world to the American customer.
And it'll, ship it
Yes.
cheaper here. Remember the guy who made that mousetrap?
Yes,
He
yes.
made that really
Yeah.
good mousetrap and it went viral because it was so effective. Within like a week's, China had copied it and we're already underselling him in his own market.
Because he can't ship it to
Yes.
Americans in America, even though it
Yes.
was made in America.
Yeah.
Couldn't ship it door to door as cheaply as China can send it across the world with
Yes.
his rip-off copycat product that
Correct.
he can't sue them for.
Exactly. That's just an example. Personally, we both know people who lost out big in China, who went there to do the R&D, that set up
Yes.
the factories, like that guy who made the Bluetooth speakers.
Yes.
He made this fantastic idea of one of the first ever small Bluetooth speakers that had good bass, and it was amazing. And the people that he was working with stole his designs and started to make it on the side and undercut him.
Because there are no repercussions.
Yes.
And yet China thinks that they can attract international investment because they... Why do you think they're putting up such a fight and actually like arresting people that are restricting like or making it look bad to do foreign investment in China? Because they need it so bad.
Yeah.
Because that's how China got wealthy. When I say wealthy, relatively compared to the past.
Oh yeah,
Still a
I
poor
mean,
country.
the entire country's economy is based on the fact that they were allowed to trade with the outside world.
Yes.
And remember this, guys, one thing I really have to make very clear is you hear this statistic going around about China lifting 800 million people out of poverty. And they're attributed to the Communist Party. This
We have
is
800 now? I thought it was 600.
whatever,
Yeah, whatever.
it changes.
Yeah.
It's a lie. First of all, they lowered the benchmark for what being poor is. Okay, but that's not the main reason. Is that the reason why Chinese people managed to become more rich? It's got nothing to do with the Communist Party. In fact, it's the fact that the Communist Party lifted the boot off of their necks for a minute and allowed them to do business and allowed them to use their entrepreneurial spirit
And
and
participate.
because Chinese people are very good at business if you
Yes.
let them do it.
Yes.
They're very, very good at mustering all their ideas and,
For sure.
and getting down to work and doing stuff. But the Chinese Communist Party didn't allow them to. So as soon as they allowed them to work and earn their own money and make their own way, they actually lifted themselves out of poverty. This has got nothing to do with the Chinese government. It does not get that credit.
It's only restricted them.
Yes.
It's done nothing to help the people.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember you, you lift my spirit, with you high is all I'm feeling. Remember.
Who goes in here with hairy, long, bushy animals sees a whole ass bird that you'd see on a power line and goes, how much for that one, please?
I want the bird, feathers and all.
Garbage juice and bleach and fish. You've never put something so big in your mouth that you're
No, I haven't.
My claim was that I actually saw the Easter Bunny.
It was somewhat misrepresented because I think the whole world thought that Chinese people just eat bat soup.
And they don't.
But they do.
If you had to pick one person you'd screw over to save yourself, who's catching that bus and why?